Yo, what's going on guys? HyperX here. Welcome back to another video for Destiny. Yes, that's right, it is time to talk Destiny 2 because the Witch Queen expansion just came out, and while I might not necessarily be the most active Destiny player, I do like to drop back in when there are new updates, invariably because there's just, new cool stuff, new weapons, new stuff to check out, and also the continuation of the story. Look, right, I might be a lapped Destiny player, but I am still invested in the story. When I have been playing since the beta, since Destiny 1, and I still want to know what happens in the story, I still want to get the resolutions to that story, I want to know what's going on, then I invariably have a reason to jump back in each update and see what's going on. So today I kind of wanted to talk about my first impressions, having just sort of played through, completed the campaign, and just sort of gone through the initial flow. Obviously there is still so much more to do, but having completed the campaign and having sort of experienced some of the new stuff like the glaive, the weapon crafting, the Hive Guardians, that kind of stuff, I just want to talk about my first impressions. So if you guys do enjoy this, a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know if you guys have jumped in, let me know what you are liking the best about the update, let me know what you are still aiming to do, and of course I want to give a massive shout out to Bungie for very kindly sponsoring this video, giving us a chance to jump back into the game and check it out. But first things first, of course, running through the campaign, this is the main thing going to be jumping into, and honestly, this was super cool to experience. Plot revelations galore, basically. It kind of finally feels like Destiny's story seems to be finalizing its shape. You know how like for a long time, every time a new expansion would come out, I'm like, are they finally going to wrap up this story? And Bungie like, no, we're going to tell you a completely other story and you're going to have to wait another expansion. It does finally feel like parts are starting to sort of assemble, the puzzle pieces are starting to fall in place, and finally, we're getting some shape. Because the Witch Queen expansion actually wraps up threads from the start of the very first game, and of course if you guys have been around since the days of Crota, there's plenty of content here to sort of like keep you engaged from a narrative point of view. Also, while I won't show you, the post-story cutscene was a madness. However, one of my favorite things, one of the things that I saw from the trailer before we even got a chance to jump in was the glaive, and you know I love my new weapons, right? I'm a Monster Hunter player. I like weapons, all right? I like just various different things, and anytime, even in Destiny history, anytime there have been new archetypes, it's always been super cool to check out. And the glaive, this thing already looked cool from the trailer, but having a chance to actually use it, I really like what they're doing with it. It basically, when you have it equipped, replaces your melee, your R1, and it has like a 3-hit combo with some slight tracking. It's very strong and doesn't use ammo on the melee front. There's also a range component, it's got bullets which are strong, but you only have like 5 in the mag, so it's great on bigger targets as well. You can also shield with it, which uses a meter, which can be replenished with more attacks. So I'm still kind of fine tuning it and trying to work out, say, like the optimal way to use it, but it is a lot of fun. Additionally, we also got exposed to weapon crafting, which in my mind, when I first heard about this, I was like, about time. I was like, let me craft some stuff in a game where you collect loads of things. Like, Destiny from its inception, of course, has always been like an MMO light in that regard. And of course, in these kind of games, crafting has always been a big component. And of course, Destiny hasn't really had it in the conventional sense. But this time around, weapon crafting kind of adds like a means to refine and grind your weapons. So it might not be crafting in the conventional sense, but you basically get a pattern which allows you to craft a gun with specific perks, but not all perks are active to you instantly. And then as you level them up, you can then reshape them to have better perks. It's kind of like a nice way of refining the grind experience and keeping the RNG a little bit more on the minimal side. You can also find weapons in the world, which I think was kind of cool, where you can then, like if you use them enough, you get patterns and you can then craft them too. Now, of course, when it comes to battling some of the enemies, one of the things before we even kind of talk about enemy variety is just this animation here. This smashing, crushing the ghost animation is super satisfying and never gets old. It's basically like a finisher, kind of like in Stranger Paradise, if you guys have played that, where you sort of stamp on the crystal, or say in like God of War when you have those like powerful finishers. It is basically Destiny's version of a finisher, but the way that they've kind of done it, the sort of camera angle for it, the animation is just really, really cool. So this is definitely satisfying to experience. In terms of enemy variety, it's one of those things where, it felt largely speaking very similar. You do of course have the cool Hive Guardians, where of course when they do pop their super, you definitely want to find some cover because otherwise you're going to get slapped. But otherwise, enemies are largely speaking things you've seen before, things you would expect. So maybe not as much variety in that regard, but there is still an interesting mechanic when sort of fighting some of these with the moths, whereby of course they give Hive enemies an overshield and you need to kind of kill that before they find like a new host. So there's definitely some fun new mechanics, even if there's not like drastically new crazy enemy types. It was still sort of fun to experience that. Outside of that, of course, campaign is good. You also have psyops, that's kind of good. They're sort of like strikes, but then you can kind of go into the mind of your enemy and then Captain for Capture, which is kind of cool. You of course have the new weapon perks, and of course also as a hunter main, the Void Tree rework is tasty. We kind of have some like ninjutsu style landing to go invisible, which is real cool. I mean, look, right, I know these days I tend to lean more towards the meathead type, and of course I feel like I should be a Titan. I have grown up as a hunter in Destiny, and honestly seeing some of the more like ninjutsu focused skills, whew, I like it. I like it a lot. Plus, of course, if you've taken a long break, there is a whole bunch of stuff that you wouldn't have seen before, like Days of Eternity, which of course celebrated Bungie's history with Marathon and Halo. So there's actually quite a bit. So as a returning player sort of jumping in, it did feel like quite a meaty experience. Of course, I can't necessarily like comment on how that will feel if you are like a long-term player who just kind of continually plays every single day. But for me, sort of jumping back in, there were quite a few nice surprises, and I just sort of enjoyed my overall experience. Of course, there is lots more for me to dive into, endgame stuff now, things for me to pursue, but those were some sort of like initial impressions from having just jumped in after a while off and experiencing the campaign. So let me know in the comments down below again what you guys think. If you guys did enjoy this, of course, a like would be super appreciated, and do keep it locked. We have got another video coming your way, so if you want to see a little bit more Destiny on the channel, then definitely stick around. But in the meantime, you can check out this video for more details.